Shalom, shalom. Grace and peace. This is Apostle T, Kingdom Media Foundation. Just wanted to come on here and encourage the prophets to not allow the contradictions that you discover within yourself to stop you from being a mouthpiece. Many times we have convictions about things and we are very critical and very strong on certain things, and we see them so strongly that a lot of times the Lord will allow us to enter into a season where we can recognize our own weaknesses. When we enter into seasons where we see that we're not as strong as we thought we were, when we were shouting from the mountain peak, when we were sounding the alarm and sparing not, when we were calling out unrighteousness, wickedness, debauchery, and then we find areas and pockets in our lives that need adjusting. Now, in those things, the Lord wants to teach us not only about his word or about other people, but he also wants to teach us about ourselves. He wants us to come to grips with, even though we are proclaimers of holiness, that we proclaim his righteousness, his goodness, his steadfastness, and that we actually proclaim what it is that he desires, the ideal. At times we fall short of the ideal, but whenever we fall short of the ideal, if we decide to sit down, shut our mouths, stop preaching and proclaiming the truth, then we're doing exactly what the enemy would desire for us to do. Shut us up, shut up and sit down. But even though none of us want to live as hypocrites, none of us want to live as contradictions, none of us want to be saying one thing and doing another, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to continue keeping on, even as you discover contradictions, because those things, whenever you're preaching the word with conviction and you're preaching even beyond what you've lived, because the Spirit of the Lord is beyond where you are, and you're not judging according to your own righteousness but his, then he will call you up into that level. And so there are times where he brings out our hypocrisy. There are times when he brings out our mediocrity. There are times when he brings out the conflict within our souls, because we know we should be here and we expect other people to be here, but really in certain pockets we're here. So would he want you to just shut down everything until you get there? I say no. I say that he didn't tell David to stop being a king when he rebuked him and corrected him and adjusted him. He didn't tell Samuel to stop being a prophet when he didn't measure up to being the father he should be, following after Eli. He didn't tell Moses to stop being Moses, to stop being who he was, stop being a judge. When it was time for him to get rid of him, when he said, "All right, you're going to come up with me now. You're going to rest in the ground. I'm going to go ahead and take you out." Then he chose his successor, and he kept on. But we die out of our function. We don't quit because we have fallen short. We don't quit because we haven't measured up. We don't quit. We die out of our function, because our function is something that was eternally decided for us. It wasn't something that we just chose to do because we like to do it. As a matter of fact, we ran from it for years and years. So the function is not about us. Now, we don't want to do him a disservice. We don't want to dishonor him. We don't want to make a mockery out of the office or a mockery out of the responsibility to preach. But all I can say is use it as a weapon. Use the word as a weapon as you battle your contradictions, as you deal with inner healing, as you deal with conflict, as you deal with your soul and wrestling with your soul. Use the word as you preach to others, you're preaching to yourself. As you're counseling others, you're counseling yourself. And then at sometimes you say, well, how can I even be a person that can speak for you, Lord, because my life is jacked up. But he saw that your life would be jacked up, and a lot of this stuff is not new stuff, but he saw that stuff was dormant. He saw that we temporarily put it down because we had a certain level of piety, and we thought that our own righteousness could keep us or save us from the things that were iniquities that we were born with. But see, these things have to be cleansed by the blood. They can't be cleansed by dead works. They can be temporarily stopped by human effort. A Muslim, a Mormon, a Jehovah's Witness An atheist, anybody can choose to stop doing something, but that doesn't change the iniquity that's within them underneath the surface. So though you may have stopped doing activities, then you started preaching, then those things started surfacing back up. Those things do not just mean that you were never called. It means that now he's putting his finger on them because he's showing you what he was covering you and what he was keeping you from. He was showing you what he was giving you grace in, to the point that where you actually had to realize for yourself, I need help. So now you're at a place, prophet, you're at a place, preacher, you're at a place, apostle, evangelist, you're at a place where you're preaching the gospel, but you have sin in your life. So the question is, are you going to stop preaching until you get all your sin worked out? I'm not telling you to front. I'm not telling you to fake the funk. I'm not telling you to get help and find some accountability. But are you going to become a mute? Are you going to begin to be silent until all your sin issues are worked out? Or are you going to battle it? Are you going to war with the prophecies that were spoken over you in the day that you were commissioned, in the day of the prophetic presbytery, in the day that you were called out, in the day when you were summoned unto him? Are you going to war with those things or give up? That's the question. I tell you, press on.